Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Holistic Health Radio. I'm your host, Sarah Liz King. I'm an exercise physiologist and health coach, empowering you to find your healthy balance with food, fitness, and your body. Today on the podcast, I am so excited to be chatting with Amanda, the founder of Active Elite. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have a chat, which we are going to dive into a few different topics, a little bit about your story. But before we do that, can you tell everyone who may not know you a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Amanda. I am a mum of five. I am 37 and I am very busy running Active Elite.
And Active Elite is your activewear brand for those who may not know. And we're going to get into the story of what inspired you to start that. But before we do that, I always like asking my guests some fun get to know you questions. The first of which is always the same, which is, what is your coffee order?
I'm not a coffee drinker. I actually drink tea.
All right. What's your favorite kind of tea?
I would just have to say plain English breakfast.
Plain English. Oh, well, look. There are nuances to English breakfast for those who drink it. I'm sure there's like, which brand do you like? Which is the best brand? But I think we all need our little daily dose of whatever makes us feel good. I feel like just a warm beverage of some kind is just very relaxing. And it definitely is the one ritual that gets me started for the day. I don't know about you.
Me too.
Okay, next little get to know you question is, what are you grateful for today?
Ooh, I think it would just be my workout session that I got to do today, going to the gym.
Amazing. Yeah, just getting that moment amongst all of the crazy busy things that you have on your list to do to have a little bit of you time. Yeah.
Yep.
I imagine that list is never ending, both on the work side of things and the home life side of things.
Definitely. It's always busy.
Yeah. What is something that we can always find in your fridge? Now, I know you're a mum, but I'm going to say something in your fridge that's just for you.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
And I have to hide it too.
Okay, yeah. A specific kind of chocolate?
I love the Cadbury's, just the block chocolate, just the plain dairy milk. I could eat that in one go.
I used to look at mum and dad who would buy like the fruit and nut Cadbury chocolate when I was younger and be like, oh, that's so boring. And now that's exactly what I buy.
Come full circle.
Oh, I know. But it's so good. It's so reliable. What are some of your daily non-negotiables that really make you feel your best?
One, my cup of tea in the morning. That's a must do. Two, it's just putting on my activewear. For some reason, it just makes me feel better about myself. And it's just weird.
No, I think, I don't know, there's this thing about having, I guess, your own uniform. I know for me, I
Yes.
have like certain things that I wear, and when I put them on, I feel like me.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of, yeah, that's definitely what you're getting at with that. It's just, you can't really put words to it. It's just that feeling that you get when you slip into that particular outfit and you're like, yep, I am ready to go.
Exactly.
Now, we're going to talk about a whole range of different topics, including body dysmorphia, finding confidence with fitness after you may have gone through some body changes, so much more. But before we, I guess, dive in, can you tell us, like, what was your relationship with food and exercise and your body like when you were growing up?
To be honest, it was relatively normal. I didn't really have an issue with food or my body. I was quite athletic as a child, so I was constantly eating because I was just burning it straight off. It wasn't until after I had my first child at 22 and the relationship that I had with my two older children's father, that's when it started to creep in, and that's when the damage sort of started.
Yeah. And we talk about, I guess, body image as one topic quite a bit, but how would someone differentiate struggling with their body image versus struggling with something like body dysmorphia?
For me, I suppose body dysmorphia is your perceptions of what you think are wrong with your body. And no matter how many times people can say, you know, you look absolutely fine, there is nothing wrong, in your head, you have a fault. And yeah, it's just, no, you're sticking to, no, that doesn't look right. It's not right.
Yeah. And the intensity and I guess the frequency of those thoughts can really affect your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
How did you notice the impact on yourself day to day in terms of your ability to function or, get work done or anything? What was the biggest impact that you noticed?
It's basically, for me, I was just withdrawing from life in general. Not going out, wearing clothes that are way too big for me, um, going through cycles in regards to food where I would binge eat and then starve myself. I was just becoming just really like introverted.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that often fuels so many, I guess, struggles with mental health is that when people are going through it and there's all these things going on for you, it's so easy to isolate yourself, which can only add fuel to the fire. And of course, getting help and speaking about these topics and doing the work is hard. What helped you make that decision, make that move, kind of tell yourself like, okay, something needs to change here? Was there a turning point for you?
Um, Getting a lot of psychological help was sort of the start of it, and sort of explaining, this is what I'm feeling in regards to my body. And that was sort of triggered by domestic violence that I had previously suffered, and past trauma. So trying to work through all of that um, is what brought up all like the body dysmorphia. And so, speaking with my GP and psychologists, and that was the start of,
Yeah.
getting better. Yeah.
And it's so interesting, right? I think when we speak so frequently about things like body dysmorphia or eating disorders or anything like that, we always assume that the food is the issue or that the exercise is the issue or that our body is inherently the problem. And having the experience of working with individuals so much in this space, you very quickly realize, and obviously through my own experience, that it's never really about those things. Those things are just the symptom of something that can be a lot deeper. Like you mentioned, it can be from trauma or past experiences. And it can be really hard to almost like let these things go because, in a way, they are a shield of armor. And it's easier to deal with those things or easier to focus on, your food, your exercise, and your body than it is to actually go, oh God, like there's some really hard and heavy things that I have to move through and deal with and, learn to cope better with in order to actually get myself to a better place with quote unquote food or exercise or my
And they're
body.
things that, you can control in the moment as well. You can
Yeah.
control what you're eating. You can control how much you exercise. Um, so that sort of plays into it too.
Yeah. And I guess the thing is because you get that moment of instant gratification where you do get a sense of relief or control, that even like, the little exhale or sigh out that you get for a moment if it's been a really difficult day, that cycle of needing to kind of chase that feeling over and over again can get really toxic. And I think that's what keeps people trapped for a really long time is that some of this some of these ways of coping are effective, even though they are unhelpful in the long
Yeah.
run. How did you slowly tiptoe out to find more helpful strategies? And what for you seemed to be the most helpful things in the long run?
Well, I can't say that I'm completely recovered from body dysmorphia. I always find issues with how I look. Um,
Mm,
but having a PT um, and a dietitian, you know, those two things really help a lot. A
yeah,
dietitian, they come up with a meal plan, and it just takes the guesswork out for me that, here's what you eat, and yeah, I don't have to think about it or stress about it. It's just
yeah,
one less thing to worry about.
yeah. And that's so important, I think, when I don't know. I don't know about you. I just consider myself such a like a strong, independent person. And then when it came to my own recovery, I became so, I guess, stuck with decision fatigue that I didn't know which way to turn. And I think for so many people who find themselves in situations where they have disordered eating, body dysmorphia, anything related to, maybe a strained relationship with how they're eating or moving or looking at their bodies. A lot of us have so much knowledge and we are very smart individuals. And yet at the same time, we are our own worst enemies
Yes.
because we're not necessarily making the best choices for ourselves in that respect. So I love that you said professional help is so important because I myself think the same thing, even as a health professional who helps people in this space, I have my own group of health professionals that I see to make sure that I keep looking after myself. So, to anyone out there, whether you are a health professional yourself or someone that's going through their own recovery journey, health professionals are going to be your best friend, and having a team of them, a multidisciplinary team, is so essential. And, having conversations like these also incredibly important to, I guess, humanize the fact that none of us are perfect. We're all allowed to be
Absolutely.
works in Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're allowed to
Um,
be works in progress.
and it's sort of, I had to change my mindset in regards to like my weight as well. It's like, and going to the gym, it's like, well, I had to stop thinking I'm about going to the gym to lose weight. No, I'm going to the gym to get stronger, to get healthier.
Yeah, because those messages get ingrained in us from like the youngest age. I remember seeing my mum going to the gym, and the gym was always associated with stepping on the scales and it being about kind of like burning energy.
Mhm.
And so and obviously add to that toxic messaging from diet culture. Like those are some really strong messages that we have to spend a long time
I'm
unlearning.
learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess now as a mum, do you find that part of your inspiration is to make sure that, your kids have that better approach to their bodies?
Um, I still struggle with getting on the scales every day, but I'm trying to do it when my kids aren't around because I was
Mm,
doing it and they'd, walk into the bathroom and they'd see me getting on the scales and then they started doing it too. Not that they understand what I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. It was just the fact that they were getting on the scales and that
yeah.
just sort of got to me and I'm like, well, no, this is an issue.
Yeah. And I think it takes so much work to kind of break these habits that we have and, to give ourselves the grace to have that patience to keep working on them. I think that is so essential in any kind of journey that we're on. That self awareness piece is the biggest first step.
Yeah. A lot of my self validation came from the number on the scales.
Mm,
And it's been really hard to break that.
yeah. Have you found anything personally that has been helpful in a reminder for yourself, that number doesn't mean anything about you as a person overall?
Some days are better than others. I suppose I have to look at all the things that I am accomplishing outside of the scales.
Yeah.
So, family, my business, those are the accomplishments, not what the scale says.
Yeah. And I think holding on to those victories and like reminding yourself like what your values are and what really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that takes so much effort, so much energy. But at the end of the day, the benefit of that is that those things can stay with us for decades.
Absolutely.
And reminding ourselves every single day, even if it's a really difficult day, to anyone out there who thinks they need a little helping hand, your values, all the things that you're getting, achievements in life, the reasons that your friends love you aren't because you're a certain number or a certain gene size, and you don't love your friends for the same reason. So having a moment to remind yourself of those things, I think, can be super great.
Absolutely.
Speaking of achievements at work, we haven't even spoken about Active Elite, which is a pretty incredible clothing brand.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start Active Elite?
So Active Elite for me, I really wanted to create a community that was like me and going through the same issues that I've been going through. So they feel supported, you know, and you can talk to each other. Yeah, it's just about coming together and being like, yeah, I'm out here too. I know what it feels
Yeah.
like.
And I guess what would you say your biggest point of difference is compared to other activewear brands out there?
I think that is my point of difference. I don't want to be like the big activewear brands. There's plenty of those. I don't need to compete
Yeah.
with that. My whole goal and mission for Active Elite is just to build that body confidence in women, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like.
Yeah. And I guess as the founder, you must hear some pretty cool stories from individuals who get to buy and also use the things that you create. Have there been any stories that stick out in your mind from people in your community?
Oh, definitely. Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to share one of those? Are you able to share one of those, or are they all confidential?
So one would be from Danielle Curtis. She is an MMA fighter, and she's actually in Canada at the moment for an upcoming fight. One of her biggest struggles is, she goes through periods of where, she has to bulk up and then shred. And so that plays a big part of, what's the word?
Yeah.
That takes an emotional toll on her, from an athlete's point of view.
Yeah. How has she found, I guess, solace in your community and what you guys represent and do?
I think because we're so like-minded and we're so passionate about, what these issues represent for us as individuals, but how we can use these platforms to help others has been really good. And
Yeah.
just being able to talk to somebody that's indifferent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an athlete, there's so much pressure on you, as well as the pressure that you often place on yourself. And, this is coming from a type A perfectionist. And it's so easy to get caught in these traps of thinking that, oh, just because I am thinking this way, or I think that people are judging me this way, that it's exactly what everyone else is thinking. And I think in a world where social media is so big, that element of comparison is just everywhere, and it can get us stuck in some really dark, dark places. So knowing that we have, corners of the internet to go to that are safe and we can just be ourselves and there's no judgment, I think is so incredible.
Yeah.
So you're doing some amazing work there for sure.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of, I guess, the clothes that you create and what they represent, you kind of said that putting your activewear on in the morning was a bit of your uniform. Do you have any go-tos that are your like comfiest pieces that you always rely on?
Oh, I would have to say it would be the crop t-shirt.
Yeah,
And I'm just about to launch some oversized t-shirts as well, and they are super comfy.
I love me an oversized t-shirt.
Yeah.
That is like all the rage at the moment.
Sure is.
And in terms of your relationship with exercise and your body, obviously it's forever evolving. I would say mine is too. What's, I guess, one piece of advice to anyone listening that you would kind of give if they found themselves in a place where they might be struggling with kind of how they were approaching the gym or their workouts or even things that they were struggling with in terms of their body?
Most important one is to seek professional help, seek medical advice, talk to somebody. When it comes to the gym, get a PT. That is the big thing. That way you're not overwhelmed by all the machines and what you think you should be doing. There's someone there to have your back.
Yeah. And to tell you how to work smarter and not necessarily feel like you have to be doing, everything or pushing yourself as hard as humanly possible. Because I think that's often the trap that we get stuck in is, we see a workout or we see other people exercising and we think it has to be like super hard or super intense in order to count. And that is absolutely not always the case.
But the gym isn't everybody's cup of tea. So it could just be going outside for a simple walk, as long as you're moving your body.
100%. All movement counts and it's all good for us, especially in terms of, breaking up the day and getting a little bit of vitamin D, unless you live in the UK, in which case the sun never comes out. But fingers crossed it comes out for you soon because it'll be spring and summer. But there are just so many benefits of just getting small amounts of movement balanced with the right amount of rest and recovery to really, help yourself be a happy, healthy human.
That's right.
And in terms of people finding this beautiful safe space and community that you have created, where can we connect with you online?
So you can follow me at activeelite_ on Instagram or
amazing.
Facebook. Or you can jump on to our website, activeelite.com.au, and sign up for the newsletter.
Amazing. And that'll have all the information about when those cool new drops happen as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Amanda, thank you so much for taking the time today to share your story, to be open, to be honest, to be vulnerable, because I know our community will just resonate so deeply with everything that you've said. So I really appreciate you coming on. And of course, we will be sure to drop all of those links in the show notes so that people can drop by your page, say hi, send you a DM, and hopefully grab a few fun new activewear pieces as well.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
All right, everyone listening, please, if you love this episode, feel free to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It really helps support the show. And of course, feel free to take a screenshot wherever you are listening. You can tag myself at Sarah Liz King or Amanda at activeelite_ on Instagram, and we will be sure to reshare those stories. Until next time, keep looking after yourself, and I will be back next week with a fresh new episode you can wrap your ears around.